Good morning, everybody. A very warm welcome to all of you on behalf of Microsoft Research India. My name is Satish. I'm part of the lab here. And my watch says 9:30. I think a significant achievement is that we managed to start on time. So a good start for the event. It's so glad to see all of you here. It's been, I don't know how long since we actually had a physical event in our office like this. And it's wonderful to see all of you here. And thank you so much for making the time out and being part of this, this gathering. We hope the next 2-3 hours will hopefully have interesting discussions, talks, and other interactions which will be worth your time. So let me kick off things right away. I want to introduce Sriram Rajamani. Sriram is the Managing Director of Microsoft India, Microsoft Research India. He has been with Microsoft for a long time. He joined Microsoft Research in the US. He did his PhD from Berkeley, and he came back here and is now leading the lab. He's also a distinguished scientist and also Managing Director of the lab here. So without much further ado, let me ask Sriram to kick things off.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, first of all, thank you all for coming here today. Such a brings me a great amount of happiness to see so many colleagues and partners in person after a long time, and I'm hoping we'll have many more events like this. And I also hope that you get some time to come to the first floor above and enjoy. Our office looks like this. If you have not seen this upstairs, please do visit us today and in the future as well. So what the team asked me to do was to give a little bit of context about what our lab is about, what we are trying to do, why we work on these topics, and where we are, where our lab is around. We started in 2005. That's when we set up our lab. Maybe I'll say a little bit about our lab. We were incorporated in 2005, and we work on a variety of topics. We work on deep technical topics like algorithms, machine learning, systems and networking, and so on. We also work with our communities on this topic called technology and empowerment, which is the topic of the meeting today. If you look at our staff, right, we have around 80 or so full-time people, about 50 PhDs, engineers, program managers. We have around 170 students that are here. We have about 70 research fellows who are research trainees with us. They have just finished an undergrad or a master's program, and they are with us. I mean, as a research trainee, around 70 people. So this place looks like around 80 full-time people and around 150 or 160 students. That's how this place looks like. And one of the interesting things about our lab is that in addition to doing high-quality, forward-looking research, we are satisfied to understand whether those results actually make any difference in the real world or not. And we have two conduits to just checking and validating for ourselves that whether we are in touch with ground reality. So one conduit for us is Microsoft products. Microsoft is a big company with many, many products. So a lot of our research advances, right, we try and use the products as a channel to see whether they work at all and what benefits they provide and learn from them. But there are many, many situations, like, as you know, in technologies to help with social challenges. I mean, products are not the best avenue to get to the users, right? And so in those cases, we work with partners, governments, startups directly. So that it is the latter topic that is the topic of today's meeting, right? But I wanted to give you this context because this lab has, in addition to people that work on social science, HCI, and technologies and empowerment, right? We have a real powerhouse that has systems people, machine learning people that we can draw to bear. And over the years, right, what I have found is that the communities of people that work on deep tech and the communities of people that work on problems that make societal impact, right, is actually overlapping a lot more. A lot of people with machine learning skills, system skills actually work on, because it gives them a purpose in their life as to what they're doing. So these two communities are not disjoint in our lab. And I think I want you to just keep that in mind. And you can leverage not only the people in this room, but also the people that work on deep tech as well. That's actually possible. And so this is a slide that actually Bill Thies made. I just wanted to show this. So if you look at actually our, the way we frame things, right? On the one hand, we have high-value social challenges like health, agriculture, education, and we have user communities that are brought together by technology. For example, the cell phone has brought together hundreds of millions of people in this country. Same with connectivity, applications like finance. Those have brought together communities of users aided by technology. And the work in our lab has been to bridge these high-value challenges and technical communities that are brought together by technology. This lab has had a track record of doing user-centered design. We have interdisciplinary teams that consist of technologists as well as social scientists. We always pay attention to cost. Frugal innovation is a term that we take to heart. And the other thing we do, because we are a scientific lab, is that we do rigorous measurement. Right? We don't just come up with a shiny object and say, okay, look at this interesting piece of technology. We deploy them and measure them. And we are very brutally honest ourselves when we measure as to whether things we do really make a difference. So since we are a lab, science is a very important aspect of what we do. And science, as you know, right, proceeds by peer review, by communities of peers that actually review each other's work, challenge each other scientifically. And it turns out that when we started work in this area, right, this discipline did not even have a community, a scientific community, and we were integral in establishing that community. This community actually started by the name ICTD. ICTD stands for Information and Communication Technologies for Development. Now, and actually we played a key role in instituting the first conference in this space as well. The conference is also called ICTD. Now, actually, this community has grown much, much larger. There are other conferences, like the most recent one I know of is Compass. There is ML for development, AI for development. And this lab has had significant influence in creation and orchestration of those communities. And we've also done work in this space, for example, which have won awards. I want to call out Indrani's SCAI's Social Impact Award, her TR35, and Bill's MacArthur Fellowship. Those are examples. The other thing we did was actually, if you look at faculty in this space academically, right, be it the US, the Europe, or India, almost everyone who's a faculty member has spent time here. Right? They have either been interns with us or research fellows with us, and we have such a strong connection with them that it has helped us and it has helped the community as well. So that's actually about academic impact. A few years ago, it also became clear to us that in addition to publishing papers and having scholarly discussions on this topic, it's actually important to deploy what we build and see what the gap is between users and usage and what our perceptions of technology and how technology can help these communities really are. And we actually so a few years ago, we started this incubator called SCAI. And this event is actually being held under the incubator. SCAI stands for Societal Impact to Cloud and AI. And the goal of the incubator is to nurture and deploy technologies for large-scale societal impact and get them out of the lab. And we do that in collaboration with academia, startups, NGOs, and partners. And you'll see many instances of that I will call out today. And this lab is integrally involved in these launches. And even after we launch them, we work with them. And SCAI's goal is to graduate these efforts. Either in some cases, we graduate them as open source code. Some cases, we have graduated them into external startups, and I'll give examples of those today. And some cases, we actually graduate them into Microsoft's products and services. So all these avenues are actually possible. And here are some examples of projects that have quote unquote graduated or out there in the real world today. I see Bill here. Bill and Andrew co-founded, and Nakul co-founded 99 Everwell. The project in MSR used to be called 99 Dots. It's for TB medication adherence, and you can see the numbers in terms of patients and that are managed by Everwell today. Digital Green is even earlier project that came out of the lab that is now an independent company touching millions of farmers. Karya is a rural crowdsourcing work that is now spun off into a startup which is called Karya Inc. And I see Manu here. He's the CEO of that company. AFR Bharat is a very interesting center that has now been set up at IIT Madras with the goal of making NLP and AI work in Indian languages as well as they work in English. Right? So if you want to do speech to text or understanding speech, translation, and so on, what do we need to do to make sure that Indian languages have that parity? So the last three, BlendNet, MS Community Training, and HAMS, those were also efforts that we incubated in the lab, but we have scaled them through product groups. And so hopefully you'll hear more about them as well. Right? And in addition to these efforts, right, which are perhaps actually a little bit more mature, I want to also call out ongoing work that is going on in the lab. So which will eventually go through the SCAI pipeline, and maybe we'll spin them off into startups, or we'll spin them off into, we'll actually work with our company. It's unclear. But that's going through the journey. But these are, I just want to give you a sense for what's out there in the pipeline. We have language technologies work, accessibility tech. I think Manohar is here. There'll be a more detailed talk on what we're doing in accessibility. We are doing work in accessible healthcare. We work with organizations like iSpirit to define technology standards in layers like data empowerment and protection architectures. There's something called confidential clean rooms, which was designed in this lab together with iSpirit. We work on safe and sustainable cities. Vasudha is a project in sustainable energy. Dependable IoT is about doing measurements from sensors in such a way that the measurements are dependable. I saw Ronak somewhere here. We partnered with Ronak's company to deploy this technology for measuring air pollution. Right? Like, for example, if you want to measure air pollution, you put so many sensors, these sensors fail. Right? How do you ensure that the data that comes from these sensors is reliable? And you'll hear more from Ronak about that. So that gives you a sense for the breadth and depth of things that we do in this lab. And this is my last slide. So in my mind, actually, I want to snapshot where my view of where we are and what our aspirations could be. And I mean, where we are, as you see, right, is that we actually have gotten to, we've understood what it takes to launch these things, right? But if you look at actually the number of users here, right, you can see things like 12 million, 2.4 million and so on, but we have a big country, right? So, and there are so many challenges, right, that we need to solve. So I dream that actually working with all of you, not only in scaling these, right, but even in formulating what we are doing, working with government much more integrally than what we are working right now, to have the benefits of all of these people impact more people and help them, essentially. So that's our dream. And actually, I'm also particularly excited by these population scale digital platforms. Like, we started with, this country started with Aadhaar, then there's UPI, there's DEPA, and so on. I mean, those are designed by government and actually public-private partnerships to reach population scale. And we see them already scaling, right? And how can we ride on top of those population scale platforms to impact more people? And as a scientist, right, I also, it's very important to me that the experiences that these deployments have feed back into the lab, right? So whether when we launch something like Everwell or Karya, right? I mean, those organizations are doing extremely well. But we want to continue to have a forum by which the learnings from those organizations are fed back into the lab and influence even the choice of problems and the approaches that this lab is undertaking. So I mean, I really hope that the combination of research and technical expertise present in our lab, together with incredible partners like you in academia, in startups, and government, that combination is a win-win for both of us. And with that hope, right, I invite you, and I really look forward to listening to all of you during the rest of the day. Thank you.
Maybe we can take a couple of questions.
Yeah, if you want to take a couple of questions, I can answer them.
Yeah. With mics, if there are people who want to ask maybe a couple of questions, we have time. If you can just raise your hand, Sriram, I think we'll be happy to answer any questions about Microsoft Research or anything else. If you can introduce yourself first and then.
Yeah, I'm Chayan Rachodri. I'm from Wish Foundation. So my query is that you are doing a lot of research in digital health technology. So have you done anything like a landscaping of all the digital technologies, innovations that exist in the primary healthcare space or in the healthcare space? So is there a study from Microsoft that can give us the idea of what are the different innovations that are existing in this geography and how we can collaborate all those?
So we do these kinds of studies, but I don't know whether we have done one in digital healthcare. I saw Mohit in the audience somewhere. Have you done something like this, Mohit? We have not done one. We could do one. Yeah.
Maybe you want to mention the keratoconus project.
Yeah. So there is actually, I don't know. So there is a community inside Microsoft, right? And in Microsoft Research that studies these problems. And your contact in the community could be someone like Mohit or Nipun. And they can tell you actually who else is working in Microsoft Research in this space. Do you want to Mohit, do you want to say a few words about how MSR thinks about digital health?
Yes. So I think MSR globally has been doing like a lot of different kind of work in digital health, and that it ranges from like collecting data about digital health, collecting data about health to train like deep learning models, or to even make like end-to-end system for diagnosing certain diseases. So Nipun and I are working on that, like for diagnostic solution, working mainly with Sankara Hospital on developing eye-related disease diagnostic system. Yep. We can talk later. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are other people who work on radiology. There's other work that goes on in other labs that Mohit can point you to do as well. Yeah. Yeah?
One more
So two questions. I'm Dr.
Yeah.
Kaushik from Shankarai Hospital.
Yeah.
You talk of already having solution and looking at 100 million plus users. Is there a place where we can access what solutions are available? Because we come from the user side. So if we knew
Yeah.
what all was there, we could probably, like he's saying, we could share it with some other partner saying, hey, there's a solution available. That is one. The second is, if an NGO has a problem, how do they reach out to a researcher within Microsoft and say, this is a problem, is it interesting for you to solve it?
Okay, both great questions. For the first one, right, SCAI has a website, which actually, some of the things I mentioned, like for example, these projects that are ongoing, and these, things that have already been deployed. There's a website, you can go to our Microsoft Research India website, and then through that you can actually go through technology and empowerment, or SCAI stands for Societal Impact through Cloud and AI. It's very easy to find. This information is already present on our website. So that could be one way for people to browse what is available. And so if an NGO wants to, a social enterprise, or even a academia or a hospital like yours, they want to reach out to us, right? There's multiple avenues. There's one avenue that is called Project Amplify, that we collaborate together with Accenture. And every year they do a call, and anybody can actually apply into that call, saying actually here is actually a problem, socially relevant problem I have, and I know about users, but I typically have a gap about technology. Can I partner with you? And then there's a vetting process by which those calls get vetted. And if there's a startup that is doing the work, we can onboard the startup as part of Microsoft for Startups. And together with Accenture, there's a program that runs. Yeah, so this project is called Project Amplify. I don't know if anybody from MFS is here. Do you want to say a few words about it? So I see that Nataraj from Accenture is there. Do you want to say a few words about that? And also maybe somebody from Microsoft for Startups. You're there too. Yeah, maybe you want to say a few things about this program, and then Nagaraj can say Nataraj.
So,
yeah.
Hi, I'm Harmir. Essentially, Project Amplify is for positive impact entrepreneurs and innovations. So, like Sir just said, that it's important for us to also see what is driving the ground level issues. So for that, we build the ecosystem. So whatever the issue is that you would like to tackle, we will build a team that can drive whatever change you're trying to push through the technology assistance of Accenture, as well as our other partners in our cohort of clients, customers. So we not only focus on scale, but we also want to actually bring in innovations from the ground all the way into back into the loop.
Maybe you want to say a few words about Accenture and Accenture's role in this as well. Take that, yeah.
Yeah, so what we also do is that from Accenture, so one of the key challenges we face is that what is the market fit, what is the gap, and are there anybody else in the whole world doing something like this? And because of the way we are placed in Accenture, we get access to some of the the large problems, similar problems which people have solved or trying to solve. Now that learning we bring into this program, and then also try to pivot the startups or pivot the partners who we work with towards solving those where we see a lot of traction, because as I said earlier, we get access to these problems because of our consultancy background, and then we appropriately place these startups and the problems in that space so that there is traction as well as there is monetary benefit also to the partners. So that's the way we work.
So what you could do is actually every year I think there is a call to Amplify. So anyone like a startup can apply into that call, and we select them based on whether we have a suitable technology, whether Accenture has suitable experience, and then we make a match and we help them. And we have done many which are like that already. Yeah.
We'll take the last question and then
I'm Ramesh Bulchandani from Rotary Bangalore Midtown. We've been working on a software platform for solving community mental health issues, which started out from a physical relation solution in the village of Muglur, 32 kilometers from Bangalore. Now, this is an NGO perspective, where we have we've added value by putting in our money. Some of our members are tech guys, some of them are in psychiatry, some are in some other areas, and use that to deliver a solution to a community, and then try to amplify that through building a technology platform, which is a digital tab with a network. We are now ready to scale it up. And some of the information I hear is monetary based. Some of it is purely charitable based. So I don't understand that part.
Oh, I see, I see. So I'll make two remarks there.
Yeah.
So if you look at these, right, all of these deployments, Microsoft actually is not making any money out of most of these things, right? I think Everwell nominally is on Azure, right? But that is actually much more branding and collaboration rather than revenue, right? It's an independent company, and we measure our partnership with Everwell based on the impact that Everwell is having rather than the revenue that is generating for us. The same with Karya, right? See, the reason why we spin this off as separate companies is that, Microsoft is such a big company, even though these businesses are actually profitable, I mean, they are doing well, right? It doesn't make sense for them to run us as Microsoft businesses because of the scale and size of what Microsoft is, right? So, but that said, right, things like Microsoft Community Training, our product groups have made a decision that it's worthwhile for them to build a product, right? So we make both those decisions, right? So all of these things, the top 4 that you see here, the goal there is actually not revenue for Microsoft at all. It's actually influence and impact. So both those are possible. So in the particular space that you mentioned, which is mental health, right? We have ongoing efforts that are going on in, there's actually a project called Moments of Change that we are working with Nimhans. Samir, I think, is in the audience. You can actually see him and he can talk to you. A couple of months ago, they actually invited this Dr. Rajni from government.
We got introduced to Ramesh through Dr. Rajni.
Dr. Rajni, okay. Yeah. So she came here and so on, right? So mental health is an area that we are very interested in, and we would love to actually collaborate.
Okay. Super.
Yeah. And again, that actually, I don't think we would worry about revenue with mental health. We would actually want to have impact in the community.
So in the interest of time, we'll probably pause here. Sriram is, I think, committed to being there for the
I'm
entire
going to be
session.
here for the whole time.
So I'm sure he's available for more conversations. Thank you very much, Sriram. That was very enlightening.
Thank
you
you
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.